Jai Vishnupada Paramahansa Paramahansa Ashtottara Shata Sri Srimad Acharya Sri Sri Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Bhagavan Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srimad Gauravani Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Nagari Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the ascended devotees, all glories to the ascended devotees, all glories to the ascended devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Shrimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityananda Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vishesha Shunyavadi Shantari Shatanine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Gauravani Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So we will read from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapter 18, the prayers by the residents of Jambudvip, and this is text number 8. These are the prayers by Prahlad Maharaj to Nrsimhadev. 18:8. No, yes, 5:18:8. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya.
Namaste Jastejase Avir Avir Baba.
Namaste Jastejase Avir Avir Baba.
Vajranaka Vajratangstra Karma Shayan.
Vajranaka Vajratangstra Karma Shayan.
Randhaya Randhaya Tamograsa Grasa Om Swaha.
Randhaya Randhaya Tamograsa Grasa Om Swaha.
Avayam Avayam Atmani Bhujishta Om Kshram.
Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhuyishta Om Skrom.
Very good. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya.
Namaste Jaste Jase Avir Avir Bhava.
Namaste Jaste
Vajranaga Vajradangstra Karma Shayan. Randhaya Randhaya Tamograsa Grasa Om Swaha.
Randhaya Randhaya Tamograsa Grasa Om Swaha.
Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhujishta Om Kshram.
Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhuyishta Om Skrom.
Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya.
Namaste Jaste Jase Avir Avir Bhava.
Namaste Jaste Jase Avir Avir Bhava.
Vajranaga Vajradangstra Karma Shayan.
Vajranaka Vajradangstra Karma Shayan.
Randhaya Randhaya Tamograsa Grasa Om Swaha.
Randhaya Randhaya Tamograsa Grasa Om Swaha.
Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhujishta Om Shraum.
Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhuyishta Om Shraum.
Anybody?
Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya.
Namaste Jaste Jase Avir Bhava Avir Bhava.
Namaste Jaste Jase Avir Avir Bhava.
Vajranaka Vajradangstra Shaya
Vajranatha Vajratatra Sarmashaya
Randhaya Randhaya Tamo Grashara Grashara
Randhaya Randhaya Tamo Grashara Om Swaha
Om Avayam Avayam Atmani
Bhuyishta.
Bhuyishta Om Shaum
Avayam Avayam Atmani Bhuyishta Om Shram
Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya
Namaste Tejas. Namaste Tejas Viravirbhava.
Namaste Jaste Jase Avirabhava
Vajranaka Vajradamshtra Karmashayam.
Vajranaka Vajradamshtra Karmashaya Randhaya Randhaya Tamo Grashara Om Swaha Avayam Avayam Atmani Bhuyishta Om Shram
Translation. So we have simultaneous translation somewhere, so I speak slowly. Yeah? Okay. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Nrsimhadeva, the source of all power. O my Lord, who possesses nails and teeth, just like thunderbolts, kindly vanquish our demon-like desires for fruitive activity in this material world. Please appear in our hearts and drive away our ignorance, so that by your mercy we may become fearless in the struggle for existence in this material world. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In Srimad Bhagavatam 4.22.39, Sanat Kumara speaks the following words to Maharaj Prithu. Yat pada pankaja palasa vilasa bhaktya karma shayam gratitam utkratayanti shanta Tarvannariktomatayo yatayo pirudha Shrodha kanastam aranam bhajavasudevam. Devotees who are always engaged in the service of the toes of the Lord's lotus feet can very easily become free from heart-knotted desires for fruitive activities. Because this is very difficult, the non-devotees, the jnanis and yogis, cannot stop the waves of sense gratification, although they try to do so. Therefore, you are advised to engage in the devotional service of Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. Every living being within this material world had a strong desire to enjoy metta to its fullest satisfaction. For this purpose, the conditioned soul must accept one body after another, and thus his strongly fixed fruitive desires continue. One cannot stop the repetition of birth and death without being completely desireless. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami describes pure bhakti, devotional service, as follows. Anyabilashita shunyam jnana karmalyana vritam anakulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttama. One should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. Unless one is completely freed of all material desires which are caused by the dense darkness of ignorance, one cannot fully engage in the devotional service of the Lord. Therefore, we should always offer our prayers to Lord Nrsimhadev, who killed Hiranyakashipu, the personification of material desire. Hiranya means gold, and Kashipu means a soft cushion or bed. Materialistic persons always desire to make the body comfortable, and for this they require huge amounts of gold. Thus, Hiranyakashipu was the perfect representative of materialistic life. He was therefore the cause of great disturbance to the topmost devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, until Lord Nrsimhadeva killed him. Any devotee aspiring to be free of material desires should offer his respectful prayers to Nrsimhadeva as Prahlad Maharaj did in this verse. So it is recommended to learn this prayer by heart. And once in a while, or maybe even every day, you can repeat this, which is basically a call to the Lord to help, to counteract this materialistic tendency. So generally, whatever we do is moved by desire, right? And basically the desire is to have a good time. Nobody wants to have a bad time, isn't it? Unless you're a masochist. But even then you think that the bad time is a good time, which is kind of illusory, of course. But generally the idea is whatever we do, we want to get some benefit in terms of what is pleasing to the senses. And if it doesn't please our senses, we just don't like it. So here in this prayer, these desires, which are called fruitive desires, because you want to have some fruit, a juicy, sweet fruit, not a bitter, dry fruit. Right? So there's a problem with this kind of desire. In this material world, as long as we want to find out and harvest and enjoy the sweet, juicy fruit in this world, that means you have to accept and have actually a material body with all the different senses to be able to enjoy. If you don't have a body, you can't enjoy. This is the problem for those who are disembodied, who have only a subtle body, and then they're living as ghosts. Then these desires cannot be fulfilled. So you need a material, gross material body. And unfortunately, this kind of body comes along with 4 defects which are built in. You can't take them out. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Dosha Anudarshana. Very interesting statement where he says that these 4 principles of birth, death, old age and disease, they are dukkha dosha. Those who speak Hindi, they know what a dosha is. And a dukkha. Dukkha means suffering, and dosha means a fault, a defect. So as I said, nobody wants to suffer. Therefore, when there is suffering, it's a defect, and we would like to solve the problem and come to a stage where there's no suffering. But as Krishna says, this is not possible because the material world is made in such a way that although you may try by science, by so many different means to overcome especially disease and old age, it will be unsuccessful. Generally, people assume that, well, birth and death, what can you do? C'est la vie. No? That's life. So we accept this. But within this lifetime, we would like to be without disease and, if possible, without old age. And nowadays, many people who have a lot of money, they fund investigation into how to counteract old age. And you can do it in different ways. They have all kinds of speculations why the cells in the body age. There's supposed to be a kind of clock, and they try to find the way how to make the clock go backwards. So instead of becoming old, you're becoming younger. But all these ideas, they will be doomed to fail. Although you may, like yogis do, when they can, by breathing exercise, extend their lifespan, as it's said, to hundreds of years. Ultimately, there will be a change of body. You have to change it. You can't live forever. So whatever you do, whether you do yoga practices or you do scientific research, these problems cannot be solved. And therefore, the real solution lies in the root or the cause of the problem. This is described here in this purport by Srila Prabhupada, that one always has these, or as he said in this, let me go back to the previous part of the purport, where he quotes from the 4th canto. This is Sanat Kumara. There are these desires are called hard-knotted desires for fruitive activities. As long as these are there, then the result will be one has to continue in the cycle of birth and death. One cannot stop it. But if there's no more desires, he spoke about that, saying one cannot stop the repetition of birth and death without being completely desireless. And then he quotes Anyabhilashita Shunya, which means that Abhilash means desire, Shunya means zero, completely eliminated, and Anya means other types of. So one shouldn't misunderstand that desireless means there's no desire at all, no material desire. Anya, any other type of desire, except for the desire of Anukulyena Krishna Anushilana, to please Krishna in devotional service. And this kind of activity, because it corresponds to the constitutional position of the soul, does not produce karmic reactions. These other types, as we spoke about, fruitive, the fruitive desire to have some fruit. Whether it's a good fruit or a bad fruit, doesn't matter. In order to enjoy or suffer the consequences, one has to have a material body. But if one is engaged in Krishna's service, although there is a desire to please the Lord, this desire is spiritual, and the consequence is not another material body, but rather the opposite. One will get at the time of changing the body, a spiritual body, and then the whole cycle of birth and death, old age and disease is cut. It's terminated. And this is also explained in another section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, where this whole process is explained in the 1st canto, beginning with Srivatam Satkata Krishna and Punyashavana Kirtana. Hridayantakstu Abhadrani. This refers to these desires, these fruitive desires in the heart, which are called Abhadrani. Again, Bhadra, we know, means fortune or something positive, and Abhadra means inauspicious. So why is it inauspicious? Because, yes, one has to take birth again, and die again, and then take birth again, etc., which is unwanted. So there it is explained that, again, by engaging in devotional service of the Lord, hearing about the Lord, chanting about the Lord, then the heart becomes purified. In this verse, Prahlad Maharaj, he refers to that. He prays to Nrsimhadev, asking the Lord to appear in the heart and then take out, because he has powerful weapons in the form of nails and sharp teeth. So he is very well equipped to rip out these desires and just take them, we can get rid of them for good. They will not come back. Another aspect in this regard is that we should understand, just by our own, or with our own strength, or whatever we may call it, competence or expertise, we will not be able to do that. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this material world, the energy, material energy is very powerful. Duratyaya means basically you cannot win the fight. But Mamiraye Prapadante, if you surrender unto me, you get my help, then Maya Veshantarantite will be very easy. So yes, we have to somehow or other get the help of the Lord. And the best helper, the most powerful weapon in one sense is Nrsimhadev with his, in this picture you can see that probably a little bit covered by the Abhishek, but there's long nails. And of course the teeth, well, there's still some teeth visible. Normally they put really big teeth. So he is very much equipped to help the devotee. As he did with Prahlad, and here Prahlad Maharaj is giving this example, how to pray to the Lord, and as Prabhupada points out in the purport, anybody of us who would like to have this facility that the Lord will help us, any devotee aspiring to be free from material desires should offer this prayer to Nrsimhadev as Prahlad Maharaj did in this verse. So then things become very easy. Once we get the help of the Lord, then things become very smooth and very easy. Otherwise, the struggle will go on, and we will normally always be defeated. So this is the recommendation. Okay, I think it's a very simple, in one sense, a very simple philosophy. Birth, death, old age, disease are undesirable. They are caused by material desires. Material desires are deeply rooted in the heart. We can't just take them out by ourselves, very difficult. We need help. So Nrsimhadev is the perfect helper who can become our ally. He's very much pleased if somebody approaches him. And he's just waiting. Sometimes it is said that Krishna is and the soul, they are on the same tree. And the super soul is just waiting for the individual soul to turn to the Lord and ask him to be engaged in his service, and if needed, get the help to counteract these demoniac tendencies. So, we may have some comments or questions. And if not, we can stop early and enjoy life. And if not, you can see some more nice pictures here of Prahlad in Sinhachanam, not so far away. If you ever need, you can go right here in Germany. Not the only ones in Europe, but the only big ones. In New Rajamandala in Spain, we also have Nrsimhadev, but not Prahlad Nrsimhadev, Lakshmi Nrsimhadev. But we have Prahlad next, standing with folded hands and praying. So this is a facility we have, and we should take the opportunity to pray to the Lord and asking for help. Of course, you have to be careful. If you really pray sincerely and the Lord agrees to help, then don't be surprised if material desires will be taken out. Then you may lament. Not so quickly, not all of them. I have a few, they are my pet desires. You can take so much, but not all of them. So he may just take everything, and then, well. So before praying, think about it. Yeah, because once they're gone, difficult to get them back. He does a good job with his nails and teeth. There will be no desires left for material life. Okay. Yes.
Can I ask in German? Or?
Doesn't matter.
Kann man voreilig sein in dieser Aufgabe? Ist es möglich, dass wir zu früh sich von den materiellen Menschen befreien? Gibt es sowas?
Yeah, well, the question is whether if it's possible to prematurely try to get rid of material desires. Yes, definitely possible. Let's think about it. Let's think about it. What would you mean by prematurely? Let's get some more details.
I mean, if we, for example, have to make some, we have some duties in the Gesellschaft.
In the society.
In the society, yes.
We have duties like, let's say you have a family, right?
For example.
Or
maybe we have to fulfill our previous desires from past life, which
this is more tricky. Yes, so you all understand the question, I think, no? That it may be a situation we are in where apparently to give up material desires now, at this point, may be premature. That means we have to wait until we get old. As I said, well, basically that refers to a situation where you have a family, which you have to take care of, where you have to work. As far as I can see, probably the majority here are in a family situation, right? No? Yes? Yes. So you have to work, unless you become an irresponsible welfare abuser, something like that, which is not a good idea. So, yes, one has to, according to one's position in society, you may say, there are certain duties one has to perform. But, now comes the but. Depends how you mold your life, even though apparently externally it may look like that you are in a situation where there are so many desires, like family life, which is generally the prime example given. If you're you can learn, let's say, if you can become expert in navigating this type of life without becoming completely illusioned. There's different grades of illusion. So don't become completely illusioned. If you become completely illusioned and covered, then we heard this yesterday evening. Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, he compared it to a andakupam, a blind well. We all know what a blind well is. It's maybe nowadays nobody even knows what a well is, living in the city. It's a hole in the earth where you get water. So when it's dried up, it becomes a blind well or a dark well where there's no water inside. So you may fall into that. You don't drown because there's no water. But then you are at the bottom of the well, it's all dark and it's too high to just get out, so you're trapped. So Prahlad Maharaj, he has this comparison, and please don't be offended. This is compared to family life, being in a dark well. But, now comes the but, not spiritual family life. It supposedly should not be included in this comparison. Therefore he told his father, who was as Prabhupada says here, the representative of materialistic lifestyle. For those people, becoming engrossed in family life, family affection, means to become completely covered by illusion and forgetting completely about spiritual life. And it's not very difficult to understand. As long as you are alone, single, then the necessities of life generally are not very extensive. As soon as you get another person in your life, it doubles. And when children appear, it triples and quadruples, and maybe, depending how big the family is. And then you get a dog, and then you get all kinds of paraphernalia. You have a house and so many things. Then one becomes what is called entangled. And again, Prahlad Maharaj, we will have this who come to the seminar later on when he speaks to his schoolmates. He compares such a situation with a person or with a little, how you call it, a raupe, a caterpillar. A caterpillar within a cocoon, right? What does the caterpillar do? It's a very strange phenomenon. They build this cocoon with their own saliva. It's not they don't need anything from external, like a spider. They have this capacity. So they do this, around themselves. So basically you trap yourself. Nobody else traps you. You trap yourself. And once the cocoon is done, you can't get out. Exactly. No, it's good. Yeah, it should be clear. You know what a cocoon is.
The technical problem.
Oh, you have a technical problem.
Okay, I will press this.
So you got the idea, huh? So this again, or you have a blind well or a cocoon. These are the comparisons given by Prahlad Maharaj actually in both cases, either to his school friends or to his father, to point out that he said it's not a good idea to remain in such a situation. One should get out. So, and then we come back to this question, if you have a family and the children are depending on you, you cannot just walk away. Because now I have realized that I'm in a cocoon, I want to get out. I'm in a dark well, it's not good, I have to get out, and you just leave everything behind, and then you become an irresponsible rascal. No, you have to fulfill your duty, but you can, ideally it can be done with detachment, inner detachment. So externally, one fulfills his duty and takes care of everybody, but internally, one is not completely immersed in this kind of life. So that's the art, that is possible, and Bhakti Thakur, for example, in our line is the prime example of such a person who had an extensive family, not 2 or 3 or 4, 10 children. Imagine, anybody who has children, imagine you have 10 of them. It's like, wow. You need how many thousands of euros per month just to, get them clothing and feeding them and education. It's like a nightmare. But it's possible if you're becoming very expert. So, yeah, if somebody decides, this is the question, because it's too difficult, I want to give it up prematurely. I don't have... Well, the problem is this. You may prematurely try to get out of this situation, but the desires are still there. They're not really overcome. You just, there's this problem. I have to take care of so many people, and this is a problem, but still I have the desire, so yeah, no, it's not an option. You have to go through it. If necessary, suffer, what can be done. But you have to do your duty. Otherwise, you think, I'm going to get out of this because it's just too much, I can't tolerate. But then the reaction will come sooner or later, either in this life or in the next life, and then you have to suffer even more for being irresponsible. So yeah, it's possible that one prematurely will try to change that situation, get rid of the desires. But again, if we think about it, if one really overcomes the desires in the heart, it's not a question of premature. Because, again, the example is Prahlad Maharaj, who heard these instructions from Narada Muni in the womb. And whatever we have here, these prayers or the instructions he is giving, like yesterday we had to his teachers, to his father, then the schoolmates, and then the last one will be the prayers he offers to Nisingadev, which are also full of instructions. It's just not some sentimental praying, no. He will speak a lot of philosophy. So he was a pure devotee, and he had overcome these material desires at a very, very early age. So that is possible also. One doesn't have to wait until one is, like sometimes it's said, old and useless. Useless for material and useless for spiritual activity. No. As soon as one really understands, realizes the necessity to overcome such desires, one can pray to the Lord. But not with the idea of giving up one's responsibilities. So, that's my take on that. Gern geschehen. So, what do the family ladies and men say? You all agree or not really? Yes, but no. The yevats, no? You know the yevats? Yes, but. That's not easy, especially as men nowadays. You imagine, I mean, like Prahlad, this was also brought up yesterday, they were living in Satya Yuga, where 99% of the people were yogis, self-realized souls. There was just one big demon, Hiranyakashipu, and a few others. But nowadays, the situation is very difficult because the society is presenting us and practically preaching to us that the more desires you have, the better, actually. Right? If you have no desire, there's something wrong with you. You have to go to some psychiatrist to get cured of your detachment, which is not, it's not desirable. Yeah? We have also some chemicals for you to help you to increase your desire. Yes. So this is just complete opposite influences that are there, and therefore people like us, devotees who are speaking these kind of things, people think a little crazy. This is not normal. And actually it's undesirable. Therefore they walk out. We don't want to hear this. This is useless. How can you not have desires? Yes, like when you speak sometimes to, and we don't do this, we don't do this, we don't do this, we don't do that. What are you living for? How you spend your time? It's like inconceivable. Yeah, but the need is for philosophical understanding, not just some sentimental prayer. This is a philosophical basis that, as I explained, life in the material world, no matter how you look, even if you are in a position of so-called enjoyment, which are very few people, generally it's a really mixed bag of some enjoyment and a lot of suffering. It's not just like a little bit of suffering and a lot of enjoyment. Yeah, so therefore one should understand that this is actually unwanted. And it's unnecessary. That's what people don't understand. It's not necessary. It's artificial. And one, as far as I remember, one Prabhupada calls it a superfluous desire. Wie sagt man auf Deutsch? Überflüssig. Superfluous vom Latin. Es fließt über, es ist nicht nötig. Unnötige Wünsche. Unnecessary desires. Therefore, Bhagavatam recommends if there are desires, they should be just directed to self-preservation. Prabhupada used to say to keep life, body and soul together. It's not what you don't eat, it doesn't mean you don't sleep. Even you can have sex, you can do this and that, but everything in a certain amount which is just necessary, not more than necessary. But the mentality of materialistic persons is to increase this to the maximum. That's like success in life. If you can increase your desires and fulfill them, wow, then you are daksha, expert. And people honor you and maybe even worship you, want to follow your example. You are the guiding light of materialism. But ultimately everybody will be defeated, and that we shouldn't forget. Even if you become the most powerful person, or the most famous person, or the richest person, at one point you just have to leave it all behind. There's no doubt about that. And now we have there's always so many people who are in their 90s who are famous and very powerful and very rich. What was the latest one? What's his name? Murdoch. He wanted, the one who owns all these newspapers. Rupert Murdoch. You don't know? No? Well, anyway, he's in his 90s, and he was planning to marry again for the 7th time or 8th time or something like that. Just now, another news was, what's his name? This Austrian, Ludger, the one who was building. Anyway, he just got engaged. He's gonna marry. He's 92, I think, and he has a novia. How you call this? A Braut, girlfriend, Freundin. 50 Jahre jünger. And it's his 7th marriage. And he said, now this is going to be the last one. Well, for sure it's going to be the last one, because you're just going to die. Maybe in her arms, Anyway, we're not going to get into the details. But this is happening. People who are really with one leg in the grave, as we say, they're still thinking how to get something out of this material life and enjoy the sweet, juicy fruit that comes with it. So this is, it's called foolish, because apashyatam napashyati, they see but they don't see. They see this is not very long because I have to leave, but they don't see that. And the general reason is that we also spoke about this yesterday, it was mentioned, they are unaware of the spiritual aspect of life. They just don't believe there's anything like spiritual. It's all material. So it's all material, then of course, the philosophy that you exploit matter to the maximum makes sense. But in the moment you understand that there's something more, there's something else, then one should really think, what do I do? What kind of desires should I have? How do I mold my life? Because this is not all. And even though one may think, well, after that it's all finished, so therefore now let me get the most out of it, they are unaware that actually the spirit soul will continue, and you have to get another material body and start all over again with all the problems that are associated with it. Okay. Anything else?
Maharaj, I have one question.
You have one question, and there's one more in the back who was actually faster than you, but you already spoke, so continue.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Yeah.
I have one question. When we leave our material body, when we die, can we become all this material desireless in our subtle body? Like when we leave our this material body, like gross body, then we have our subtle body.
Yes.
So after reaching that state, can we become desireless with all this material desire what we had in our gross body, so that we can cut all these things and we should not take birth again?
I don't exactly understand. I'm trying to understand. You say when you leave the body and you are for some brief time actually just in a subtle body, at that point you want to get rid of desires? Too late. Yes, because then you have to study Bhagavad Gita. You go to the 8th chapter, especially verses 5 and 6. 7 also, but 5 and 6 will tell you exactly what happens. I mean, Krishna explains it. Whatever you remember, which is subtle body, at that time when you leave the gross body, there you will go, which means you will not just be in a subtle body and then now you can do some yoga or some investigation, acquire knowledge, spiritual knowledge, and chant Hare Krishna and then get rid of desire. It's too late. That you have to do while you're still in your gross body. Therefore, in that purport, Prabhupada says one has to practice. And he says somebody who does not practice, as you know, this is your situation, as you say, then you cannot expect to go to the spiritual world or spiritual atmosphere. No, you have to just, because your mind and the desires and everything is still focused on the material world, you will just get another body, which may be different from the one you have now, because it depends how your subtle body has evolved or devolved. You know the words, evolved? There's actually 3 possibilities. You stay basically on the same level, you can go up, and you can go down. But it's not that you just live in your subtle body and now you become Krishna conscious. Too late. You need, a gross body. So depending on how your desires have evolved or devolved, if they have evolved, you may get a better body, even a demigod's body on another planet. You may stay on the same level. Or going down means, well, you get a non-human body. And there's a lot of them. And then it depends on the degree of devolution. Whether you just get an animal's body, or a microbe's body, or a plant body, or whatever. 8 million types you can choose from. Well, not exactly. Material nature will give you, according to your subtle devolvement or evolvement. Yeah. So, no, not a good idea. So there was, yeah. Okay, you want to give the mic? Yes? Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
I have one question that you have said that we must get rid of desire, but don't you think that need and desire, these two are the most eminent driving force of economy? For example, something which we say as luxury or desire someday, in the consecutive days it becomes a need. For example, mic was a luxury sometime, but today it's a need. Car was a luxury sometime, today it's a need. We all have jackets, but still we have heaters in our home. So don't you really think that with only need we can sustain the economy, or the desire have some role in it?
Well, it depends what kind of economy you want. No, it's exactly like that. We have, I mean, in one sense it's a little late well, let's put it this way. Modern society has already progressed in the wrong direction for such a long time that it would be very difficult to go back. Then people think, you want to live in primitive life? Like, 50, even 50 years ago, 100, what to speak of 100 years ago, no car. I mean, nowadays, of this kind of generation, if you propose, there will be, I don't have a mobile phone. What? It's impossible. You don't have a mobile phone, you cannot live. I mean, people are so addicted, they have it all the time. When I sometimes see this in the airport, or even on the plane, they have the mobile. Okay. Then they put it away. Not 1 minute passes, they take it out again. Yeah, I mean, it's like, you can't put it away. Oh my God, somebody may have sent some message. So, and then at night, you go to sleep, but this thing is right next to you, just in case. And the first thing in the morning, you wake up, on Facebook, let's see, a new friend maybe? But there was a time, once upon a time, there were no smartphones, not one. How can people live? It looks like impossible. I mean, when we heard maybe some super millionaire in their car, they had a device with the normal phone with a handle like this, which I don't know even how it worked at that time, maybe 60 years ago or 50 years ago. Maybe one or two in the whole country who could afford this because it's very special. And then came the first ones, anyway, the evolution. But now we are depending on things which are actually not necessary, but we think. Without it, it's impossible. Like, a very simple example. Just imagine that, as Prabhupada tells us, when the first devotees went to England to preach, right? And this famous Lord Zetland asks the question, can you make me a Brahmana? Right? And I think this was Bhakti Goswami who said, yes, of course. So what do I have to do? Well, no meat, no fish, no eggs, no whiskey, no this, no that. Impossible. This is our life. But it's not impossible. We know. No? We don't take all these things. You can live perfectly well, not just perfectly well, you live better by giving up all these bad habits. But some people think, as I said, when you explain our lifestyle and our philosophy, they will look at you, what are you living for? You don't have this, you don't eat that, you don't, then life is practically useless. So it's all a matter of perception. So like Srila Prabhupada was advocating and trying to implement in the very beginning what is called a rural community life. New Vrindavan was the first attempt, based on land and cows. Well, If we look at our situation 60 years later, basically almost, how many rural communities do we have? Not just having a few cows and a little plot of land, but where you actually can live from that. Depend on this for your living. Practically none. As good as none. Some are a little more advanced, like Jadam, maybe in Hungary, maybe some place in India, in the south, Bhakti Goswami. A few attempts are there, but it's not like what Prabhupada wanted. Basically, each temple, every single temple on the planet is connected to some farm community where they get the ghee, where they get the vegetables and everything. They don't have to go to the supermarket. It doesn't exist. Because, yeah, we were not and we are not really capable of giving up all these so-called necessities and live a simple lifestyle. And I can include myself. Here I am, with a computer and this and that and a smartphone. Yeah, of course. But, if tomorrow it doesn't exist, it's not I'm gonna die in misery, lamenting my computer is gone, my smartphone is gone, now my life is useless. No, I use it as long as it is helpful or can be used for some preaching activities. But if it's needed, tomorrow just have some cows and some land and live a simple lifestyle. Yeah, it's possible. Why not? But generally, people cannot imagine how can you live like this, because we are habituated, we are practically addicted to so many things. Even a car. I mean, just imagine, I'll just give you the idea what Prabhupada said, that there's no need for transport. You just have everything locally. And maximum of transport is how oxen can go in a day. So how far is that? Maybe 20 kilometers, I don't know. I'm not familiar with oxen, how far they can go. But anyway, the point is very clear. We are now, if there's no, just imagine, there's no transport. What will happen to Cologne? You will not eat. Very simple thing. In a few days, all the supermarkets will be empty. If people understand, wow, the transport system collapsed, for whatever reason it may be, then first of all, whoever is more clever will rush to the supermarket, buy as much as they can, take it home and hoard it, and then the others who come, it's already half empty. And then if for 1 week, the trucks or lorries in England, they don't go over the Autobahn and they don't bring, and the planes don't come from Chile with the Fuji apples and from Spain with the oranges and from Holland with the cucumbers and salad and this and that, then, we'll have a big problem. And the bigger the city is, the bigger the problem will be. Even now, and we know this, because of such an artificial civilization, one of the main problems is water. Maybe you have some relatives in India, how Delhi is at this point. You cannot imagine, you don't want to be there, for sure. Huh? First of all, temperature is practically 50 degrees, and water is scarce. There's almost 30 million people living in one place. 30 million people in one place. I mean, like Mexico City is the same thing. Like almost 30 million, same problem. They don't have, they already know if there's no, then there will be no water. Already those who are poor, who are not privileged, they practically have no water. They may get, one truck comes once a week, and they can fill up some buckets and this and that, and then they have to manage every day, washing, cleaning, cooking with a few liters of water. It's like a nightmare. Anyway, I can go on and on. But the point is that our idea that this is all necessary, we can't live without a car, we can't live without a phone, we can't live without a TV, we cannot live without this, without. Yes, you can, but you have to change your mentality. If you don't, then you can't. It's just almost practically, you say it's impossible. Unless material nature forces you, then you have to learn the hard way, right? Yeah, if there's nothing, then there's nothing. Like, anyway, I can go on and on. Like Cuba is a poor country, my God, you know. Really poor country, and they're cut off, you know, America, embargo, and this and that. So they came practically to the point of cultivating vegetables anywhere where there is some little piece of something of earth. In the public park, on the balcony, on the roof of the house, somehow or other, plant something and get something to eat. Because there's no import-export. You know, they're practically cut off. Anyway, so, yeah. Still we have no problem. Supermarkets will be open tomorrow, and we can buy as much as we want. Still yet. But anyway. So material world is, you know, if you analyze it, it's a dukhalayam ashashvatam. It's a temporary place. There's a lot of suffering going on. We don't have to get into those details, we all know. Yeah? And this can happen at any time, anywhere. You never know. Yes. So, I think it's time, it's over time, 15:35, sorry. I'll stop here, I think. Jai, thank you for your attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Sri Singha Deva ki jai, Gandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Kisi Ronitai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Nós podemos Bhakti